This is a picture called Portrait of Anne by Lowry. It's in the Lowry collection, and again it's probably one of our best known paintings. He painted it in 1957, and it's one of many really pictures of Anne or somebody like her, and it is a bit of a mystery as to who she was, if indeed she was a real person. Lowry's friends, when they heard her speak of Anne, had no reason to think that she was anything other than an actual friend of his. But the stories he told about her kind of varied a bit over time. Sometimes he described her as somebody who trained as a dancer, but had given up that profession. Sometimes she was described as his goddaughter. Sometimes she was a daughter of a friend of his mother's, or something like this. And a lot of research has been done into Anne, and people have looked into the sort of places where he said that she lived, and have come up with no evidence. He said he'd left something to her in his will, but there's no Ann Hilder or Ann Hilder mentioned in his will. So I think perhaps that Anne was, in a way, Lowry being a bit mischievous. And she could well simply be an amalgam of people that he knew and a sort of imagined character. Because other people have come up and said, she's such a kind of abstracted looking face. She doesn't necessarily look terribly realistic, if you like, in terms of being a portrait of how somebody would actually appear. This very distinctive dark eye makeup, this dark hair in the centre parting, the red lipstick. People have said, oh, she looks like Maria Callas, or she looks like famous ballet dancers at the time, Margot Fonteyn, people like that. He would have seen Fonteyn dance at the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden because he was a very sort of keen ballet fan, and he went to the Opera House fairly regularly. So I have a feeling that she's a sort of mysterious mixture of people he knew and an imagined character. And one of his favourite artists was the Victorian painter Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and he also had a sort of ideal woman. And part of me wonders if perhaps this is a bit of a response to Rossetti's idea of a sort of ideal woman. This is Lowry doing his own version. She does crop up in various pictures, not always just as this sort of full-on face. In earlier drawings there are pictures of a girl with a long plait down their back, who appears more than once in each drawing, and she almost sort of is an early version of Anne. So it's a sort of character that stays with him in various versions throughout his life in a way.